3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness me. Good morning guys, and welcome back to Damo Drives, bringing real reviews to real people and answering some of those questions other channels might not talk about. This is actually episode 3 of bringing subscribers' cars to the channel. Now I've got Martin's rather amazing E60 M5. It might not look anything special for the uninitiated, but this has a real cult following. The looks are pretty good. They're not quite out, they're not quite as outrageous as previous models, but it's what's under the bonnet that makes this very, very special indeed. This is a V10, and we'll go into more detail about this a bit later on, and it sounds epic. We've done a couple of drive-by shots, and oh my word, Formula One inspired, it most definitely is. So what we're going to do now, we're going to have a very quick look over this car. Typically it started raining, supposed to be sunshine, but I'll give you the best idea possible about this car. The 5 Series of this particular model really wasn't anything special, and the M5 made it a bit more aggressive. It's got unique bumpers on here, flared wheel arches, different wheels. Martin's added a few extra touches here, so we've got the kidney grills here, they're in carbon fibre, and it's amazing really. This front splitter, this is also in carbon fibre, makes a huge difference to the overall look of the car. It's a real sleeper though. It doesn't look anything particularly aggressive. You wouldn't have thought, wow, there's a V10 under there. It just looks like a smart, slightly older BMW. Wow, I'm really looking forward to this. So we're going to head round the side. We'll have a quick look round there. I'm afraid this is going to be quick. I cannot believe this weather. The M5 has got larger wheels than the standard 5 Series. It's got 19s, and interestingly it's got staggered wheels, so that means at the rear they're wider than the front. It's quite unassuming from the side. You wouldn't know massively this was anything special. We have got bulging wheel arches both at the front and the back, and this really has to be the main thing. The air intake here with the M5 badge. All of the new M cars now, that seems to be a bit of a common theme now that goes across all styling. New M5s as well, and M3s have all got carbon roofs. This has got a good old-fashioned metal roof and a sunroof, which is really cool. But overall, if you want a bit of a sleeper, definitely this variety of M5. Now firstly, round the back, an interesting fact Martin has given me is down here. There's a piece that looks like it's missing. You notice I said looks like it's missing. Well, it's not. A lot of people on forums say, where do I order this part for the car? And you can't, because it's actually part of the aerodynamic styling. Subtle and unusual. I'm not sure how much aero it does give, but yeah, interesting. Quad exhaust on here, and that's the same with all 5 Series, or all M cars I should say. Gives it away, it's something a bit special other than the standard 5 Series. Well, the M5 badge definitely gives that away. A small boot lip spoiler. Now this being the pre-LCI, we've got the more sort of traditional older looking lights. You can actually retrofit those. LCI was 2017 I think. No, 2007. 2017, blimey. That would be a long LCI. But it does involve a bit of faff, bit of rewiring. So Martin may do that in the future if he gets round to doing it, because like I said, it's a bit of faff and it doesn't add a massive amount to the car. But overall, I really like this. It's a good looking car. I have read reviews that people, they think it's ugly and horrible. I'm definitely not in that camp at all. Maybe it's because I'm here in person. It's cool, to be honest. But we're going to get inside now because I want to hear that V10 monster. It is, I just cannot get over it. It's probably the best engine BMW have ever made. Biblical, absolutely biblical. So let's hop in and get going. We'll talk about the engine. We'll have a quick look around inside as well, because it's, yes, it's a bit older in terms of tech, but wicked. So let's hop in and we'll go for a drive. So I've hopped in the back of the 5, just want to have a quick look around. You can certainly tell this is a slightly older car. Although the leather in the back here is amazing. I was talking to Martin once, like, how on earth does it look so good here? Well, it's been retrimmed by SM Trimming in Upper Dicker, and they've done an incredible job. Plans going forward as well. Going to have some M logos put in here and the M striping, also in the front headrest as well. There is about a 4-month wait, so got to hang on to see how that goes. Now, on the back of these seats, you've got these matte pockets, and they look a bit old. It's been retrimmed, so it's meant to be look like that. It looks like the sort of thing your granny might have in her house, but you could put stuff in there. Over here as well, we've got blowers for the air, a couple of cigarette lighters, and really taking me back, we've got an auxiliary in. Yeah, definitely classic. Now, this huge section comes down and shows you, well, there's somewhere to put a bit of stuff, but no cup holders. Well, you think there isn't. They're actually in the headrest part of the drop down bit here. Look at this, couple of cup holders hiding underneath there, so you can put your drinks, no problem at all. But overall, it's quite a comfy place to be. I have had to put the seat forward ever so slightly just to get my knees in here. It's not the biggest, to be honest. I'm quite surprised. A modern 5 Series has a considerable amount of room. This, to be honest, it's probably even less than a 3 Series, but I'm going to be in the driver's seat, so I don't really care what's going on back here. So let's carry on the drive. So you might be wondering why I'm heading into a town to test drive this V10 monster. Something I've read a lot about was this SMG gearbox. It is supposed to be different, to say the least, and I want to experience the bad side before we go into the good side of it. So I've put the gearbox in its softest setting, everything's nice and relaxed. We've only got 400 brake horsepower at the moment, and we'll see how this goes. So I've got a head-up display, which is nice at the moment, so you can either have that in the M-type mode, which it is at the moment, or normal. So, as I said, we're coming into a town, and this gearbox is supposed to be very, very bad. I was a bit worried speaking to Martin. He's like, do you mind if I say if this gearbox is bad? It's like, no, because it is. So, we're just going to go into the town, like I said. We're in the third at the moment, just pottering along. We'll go up this hill and see what this gearbox decides it's going to do. Still in third, and it's supposed to be a bit erratic, and it just changes gear whenever it fancies. It's sort of, the ECU has a word with the gearbox. It asks, can I change gear? It's like, oh, I don't know. And then it asks another part of the car, should we change gear? And by the time it's thought about it, it's forgotten what it was doing, changes up a couple of gears, and then randomly drops you down. So, oh, hang on. Oh, what was going on there? It's like second, first, second. And then it just wouldn't. This is odd. Sorry. BMW makes some amazing cars. That engine is amazing, but what on earth were you thinking with this gearbox? I think we're going to go around this way, because I don't want to be in this town for too long. But we can change the ferocity or the speed of the gear change, and we'll see if that improves anything at all. So we've got some controls down here by the gear stick. So being in non-M mode and having traction on, you've got 5 different settings. If you turn traction off, you can actually go up to 6. So I'm just going to press that across a couple and see if that makes any difference. So hopefully that's gone across to the third setting. Let's better than it was. Oh, now the scanner with the gear indicator, it decided it didn't want to actually change gear. Third, second. It's quite random, this. So interesting as well, when you pull out of a junction, it starts you off in second not very good for the gearbox or the clutch or anything else like that. So we said it's got this SMG, so it's actually an automatic manual. I think that's the right way around. So it's exactly the same underpinnings as you'd find in the manual, which unfortunately was only available in the US. And there's some actuators which push the clutch down and do some magic and eventually change gear, and that is why this is so bad, to be honest. I'm not sure about other implementation of other manufacturers, but this one is not what we want to be in. So I think now we're heading out of town. We're going to go over to the M mode. This car you buy for that engine, for the M5 part of it. You buy yourself a normal 5 Series otherwise. So we've got a button over on the steering wheel, so this has got some presets in here. So if I press that, this has gone over to how Martin likes the car. The only thing it does is turns the DSC off at the moment, and I don't want that. It's a bit wet, so got my Martin here, he's just turned that on. So now I've got manual paddles and we can push on. We're going to go and find some slightly nicer roads because this engine is epic. It's 507 brake, I think, is around 500, just over 500 Newton meters. So plenty of poke, 60 and around 4.7. And I want to experience this. The interesting and quite exciting thing is power delivery of this, unlike the new ones with turbochargers, peak power doesn't come till 7,500 RPM, which is bonkers. This is a 5 litre V10 that you have to get right up to like 8,000 RPM to get the most out of it. We'll leave it in seconds. That was second and it was only 6,500 RPM. Oh well. Let's change it down to second again. Ready? Let's listen to this soundtrack. Jeez. Oh, that's lovely. Being able to rev it out that much is brilliant. Now, something you won't see on camera at the moment, these seats, when you go around a bend, the bolsters inflate the way you're going. So when I go around to the right hand one inflates, and that just keeps you in your seat. And if you're really pressing on, both of them will pop out and give you the extra support so you don't end up flopping around the cabin. But they're actually an optional extra, so luckily this car's got them on here. But why you'd have that anyway, buying an M5, why wouldn't you want that? Oh, let's change down. Oh, jeez. Yeah, there's some numbers. Yeah, let's go down here. Let's go down some. Oh, so interesting. With this engine, it was all derived from BMW's work with Sauber F1. So a lot of the inspiration and what they learnt from there has come into this V10. Now, it's the first ever V10 appearing in a BMW car, and it was the only V10, and there's a very good reason for that. They are possibly one of the most unreliable engines I've ever read about, and the amount of work that has to go into one of these to keep it maintained is quite phenomenal. Martin bought this car for around £11,000, and I think that's good value, but there were so many things that needed doing to this car that he spent another £10,000 just getting it to the state it's in at the moment. It's in a really, really good condition, mind you. So the rods on here, the bearing rods, yeah, rod bearings, whichever end it was, so they've been done on here. And what else have we got, Martin? Can you remember the
throttle actuators?
Throttle actuators, yeah.
Actuators, fuel pump, injectors.
Vanos, I think that was redone.
Yeah, Vanos solenoid. The list goes on.
Yeah, new diff on here as well at the back.
Yeah, new rear diff.
Yeah, so you don't expect to buy a car and then have to do all that, but I think being F1 inspired, the tolerances they designed this thing to were immense. You know, they were so precise. I mean, ooh, I think that was possibly me pulling a paddle in the middle of trying to pull out of a junction. Yeah, the tolerances on this are pretty special, and there is a reason they've probably never built a V10 again, which is a real shame. It appeared interesting as well. The M3 has got the same engine but with 2 less cylinders, so that again had exactly the same issue as this car. But you need to treat the rod as almost like a consumable, as you would do change the oil, change the filters. You need to do that as well. I think it's around every 60,000 miles, so you need to be really, really careful with this. And when you are progressing on, as to put it, make sure the car warms up. Because of those tolerances, like I said, and the oil needs to be nice and thin and lubricate them, because if you just give it the beans straight away, you're going to end up bending rods, they're going to fail, and it's going to be, well, pretty much write your engine off. And at that point, with a car of being around 11 grand, it'll probably cost you that again to replace the engine, so it's probably not really worth it. So it's a matter of respecting this car. It's 16 years old, and you can certainly tell that from some of this. The infotainment system, for example, that's, I think, the original iDrive, so that was in the 7 Series originally, brought across to this, so that is unique. You can tell it's an iDrive. You've got the amazing jog wheel down here, so this still appears in the new new BMWs. Absolutely love that. So centre consoles here, this is quite an interesting fact. I think this is a lesson learned as well. So for 22 years, this area here was facing slightly angled towards the driver. With this model, they decided not to do that, but that was only for 4 years. When they discontinued this model, they moved it again, and that's where it's been ever since. So it seems almost with the E60 and certainly the M5, they were very experimental with what they were trying. It's like, let's have a go at that. Should we test it? No, let's get the customers to test it. Let's see, wait until something breaks. But even being an older car, I like the trimming here. I've seen some on YouTube and pictures, and it looks a bit nasty, I think, because it's got this brushed aluminium running across here. It's down the door. This lovely cream leather, as I mentioned a bit earlier. It's been restored, so it does feels pretty up to date. Obviously, this is probably a big giveaway that it's not, and the fact we've got analog dials, although I'm a big fan of analog dials. One thing as well, we've got these cup holders. Now, these are seriously over-engineered. So the one over this side, if you want to press that, Martin, it comes out and the bottom drops down, that's fine. And you would have thought this one would have the same sort of thing, but oh, let's get going. You press it and it angles out. That to me is seriously over-engineered for a cup holder. I don't know how long someone spent. They're probably very proud. There's probably a whole engineering department in Germany that's their claim to fame, is this angled cup holder. But we'll push that in. So that's the overall car. I'm definitely going to go and find somewhere where we can stretch this thing's legs properly, because it is all about this V10 engine. We're going to go down to first, and we're coming into a 60, 5,000 RPM, and floor it. Oh my god! There was a car behind us somewhere. They would have got the best soundtrack ever coming towards it. What on earth is that? I could feel even changing up into seconds. I was quite high up. I was sort of 7.5. You can feel the back just lose traction ever so slightly. So I'm pleased the DSC is actually on. addictive. Oh. Oh, I can understand why you got this car with all of its faults, and they are many, many faults. That V10 makes up for it. The gearbox is shocking in automatic. Never ever go near that ever again. It's lurchy, it's nasty. But once you go over to the the manual here, it's absolutely awesome. I think the full manual would be the best choice if you could get it, or do a conversion. I think one of Martin's friends actually done that. So you can certainly do quite a lot to it. There's also, which is quite an exciting option as well, you can actually get a supercharger kit for this thing. And can you imagine the noise of a 5 litre V10 with a supercharger on it? Oh, many, many thousands of pounds to do that work, mind you. But even so, it just sounds biblical. So right, we've come on to another more open bit of road, and let's get this nearer the red line. Oh my, bowl strings are pulling me in there. Head-up displays showing me some numbers. I need to make sure those numbers don't go above the speed limit, which is all too easy in this thing. When you've got something that you need to get out to 7,500 RPM, it'll redline at just over 8. With a 5 litre, you can imagine the speed you're going to be doing. Oh, right, we've got anything behind me? No, let's do a rolling. So we're at nothing behind me, and 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness me. Yeah, that's progressing. That's really, really progressing, and it sounds epic as well. So I'm coming to the end of my time now, sadly, with this epic M5. It has been an absolute joy to drive, reading so many horror stories. Some are true, especially about the gearbox, but once you put it in manual, it is truly epic. I love that engine. It actually looks pretty good as well, so I'm going to ignore what other people have said. Some people really don't like it, but I love it. So I'd love to know what you guys think. Would you be brave enough to get an E60 M5? Put in the comments down below whether you would, or maybe you own one. I'd love to know your experiences you've got of the car. So I'm gonna have to give it back. I don't want to give the car back. Please go and follow Martin on Instagram. I'll put his details just in the comment section below. If you have got a car that you would like to get on the channel as well, send me an email. I'll put that down below. And wow, this has been an amazing Sunday. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys have experienced some of this brilliant engine. Brilliant is mentioned too many times in this, but it's brilliant. Anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. Comments are always welcome, and remember to click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.